This episode of The Winding Stairs is brought to you by Fossil Bluff. Hello and welcome. You have arrived at The Winding Stairs, a program dedicated to Masonic education and the art of self-improvement. Part of that self-improvement includes Masonic travel. And today we have a treat because we have two amazing brothers that are doing everything they can so you can travel safely. Today I have with me my dear brothers, Michael Radigan and Jeremy Barnes. These are the brothers that are partners in Kopiri, the company that puts together Amity, the app that helps you travel safely. Michael and Jeremy, how are you doing, brothers?
Good, brother.
Doing
Thank you
great.
for having us.
It's so good to see you. We're going to engage in a conversation about Masonic travel, specifically being able to connect with the right people as you travel. One of the things that I like about what the Amity app does is that just in your smartphone, you are able to find out what are the lodges that are near you. You can find out whether they're recognized by your Grand Lodge, if you can actually visit with them or not. And that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the functionality that this app has. But brothers, I wanted to start by asking you, how different is what we are doing today as we are implementing these technological methods of recognition and credentials to how it was at early times in Masonic history?
You know, for a lot of ways, it's the same. But of course, you know, there were no computers 300 years ago, right? And we should never forget that at our core, what a Mason is what we are as men and as humans, right? And we can't ignore the fact that the knowledge of the grips, the words and signs are the core of that. And at the same time, the world has gotten so much smaller, right? And the question easily becomes, okay, you know, you can see all this stuff on the internet. What's to stop someone from walking into your lodge? And not too many people look at the Tyler's investigation as a way for a visitor to learn about your customs, right? Should you even begin to try someone if you don't already know that at least they're recognized, right? And they still need to do the important parts. They still need to work through the steps, but we can't ignore the fact that we need to set a ground level. And frankly, that sort of stuff computers are better at than humans. There are 300 Grand Lodges and 40,000 lodges. No one person can be expected to know them all. And that's where we leverage modern technology to support this age-old process that needs to continue.
That's excellent. And if you think about as the fraternity evolved from being a guild of operative Masons and become a more speculative ones, you had those modes of recognition where you knew, oh, this is one of our guys because he knows the word, or he knows, or he gave me the grip, and I'm able to recognize. Then you may have someone that vouch for you if you're lucky enough. But today, like you say, the world keeps on shrinking. I get on an airplane now. In a couple of hours, I'm in a completely different jurisdiction with completely different customs. How do they know that I am a brother? How do I know that they are recognized by my Grand Lodge, that I'm not violating my obligation, right? So we have some jurisdictions don't use dues cards, which here in the state of Florida, we're very familiar with. You become initiated, passed, and raised to the sublime degree of Master Mason, and you get your little card that you put in your 2-inch thick wallet, right? We love feeding those. And when I travel to somewhere where they don't use a dues card, they may be waiting for a patent, which is one of the modes of recognition that other places use. So, Michael, what would you say is one of the most frequent things that brothers are going to need in order to be able to travel safely? Like, what are the hurdles that they have to go through if they're going to go to a different jurisdiction and try to sit with their brothers?
So I think throughout history, we've gone through multiple hurdles, through different exposés, and that's what led even to the patents or the dues cards. Like we said, we had modes of recognition, and even before that, we all know the saying, making your mark, right? Where does that come from? Again, it's Masonic identification. So we've gone through these periods. Now, typically, the protocol is you do get a traveling certificate or a patent, or typically in the States here, we've had dues cards, which streamline that protocol for a really busy grand secretary, right? If you're a grand secretary's office and you're constantly making these certificates, obviously that can be a lot of work. And so I'm sure at one point they phased into dues cards in some areas, and that's alleviated a little bit of that process. Right now, we do have the ability to use Amity and this technology. We're working with many of the different member management systems that are out there, similar to the old process of dues cards or certificates, where there's multiple out there. And how do I know what a dues card looks like from Azerbaijan or from another part of the world? A lot of people don't know that. So what we're trying to do is connect everyone, and kind of be the grease between the wheels for this process, which gives oversight to the Grand Lodge. So always follow the rules of your Grand Lodge and whatever it is for traveling. But there's over 100 jurisdictions out there now that are using Amity officially to be able to travel between jurisdictions.
See, I love that in the position that you guys are right now, where you have many years of experience trying to put all these disparate puzzle pieces together. And I would imagine how daunting it must have looked from the beginning. And I'll be—
Oh no, not at all, Juan. We had no idea what we were getting into. It looked really easy to start with.
You see, that's what I was getting to. I was gonna say how much of it was ambition and how much of it was complete darkness of understanding what you were getting into.
Lunacy might be a better word.
Yeah. They say to move a mountain, start by carrying away small stones. And I don't know if we've particularly, moved a mountain yet, but we've certainly moved a great many small stones.
No, that's
awesome. The one to tie it together and sort of share something that at least I learned in a personal way that illustrates the problem, right? I had the opportunity to go to Iceland and actually stay there for a month. And, to anybody who's never been to Iceland, just in general, you should go. But the Masonic experience in Iceland is second to none. And, I could fill this entire discussion with stories about it. But, I'll never forget, here I was in the Grand Lodge of Iceland. And of course, what's the first thing that happens? Someone needs to test you. Because past that, then, okay, great. They can, as you said, they can vouch for you to go to the next meeting and what have you. Well, the first, time I get there, a wonderful, kind brother, takes me aside. Great. This is what we have to do. No problem. Where are you from? Let me see your credentials, etc. And then he goes, okay, great. Well, what's the word of the first degree? And I go, tell him. And he goes, that's not right.
Uh-oh.
And I go, I know I've been traveling for a while, but I don't think I forgot that much. And he goes, well, hold on a second. What's the word of the second degree? And I tell him, and he goes, oh. And he goes, no, you've got them reversed. And I'm thinking to myself, my ritual told me about people like you, and here's a legitimate jurisdiction, the only Grand Lodge in that country on that island, right? And they do it not just reversed, but reversed in a way that my obligation says the ones who do it reversed are bad. And it's a telling statement that, okay, we can all as Masonic Grand Lodges trace our lineage back to UGLE, but as soon as those breaks happened, and we now have over 300 around the world, every Grand Lodge is sovereign and can create their own rules and make their own changes, right? And over time, whether it's history, whether it's habit, whether it's, purposeful changes, whatever it may be, everything's the same, but so much is different between grand jurisdictions. And that is one of the beautiful things about Freemasonry, but it's also why it's so important to have some sort of system that crosses the boundaries and says, yeah, you know what though? No, it's okay. You do it differently, but you can still talk to each other.
Yes. I've seen, and I tell this story to brothers that are in positions like the Tyler, or they're the deacons, that they are very involved in that whole trying process. I tell them one of the times that I have seen a man at his most nervous in any circumstance, a grown man, super like losing his mind, forgetting his own name practically, was during a trial of figuring out whether he was a brother or not. And this was a legitimate brother. He had his credentials, like we knew him to be a brother, but he had to go through that test. And having the comfort of being able to know, it's like you have an application or you have a patent that shows here's the seal of my Grand Lodge, or here is, which is what I wanted to allude to. You just pull out your Amity app and you're able to pull out your passport or show that you're in good standing. They can just scan it and see whether you are in good standing or not. Can you give us a little insight into what the process is? Like if I just show up to a lodge and they happen to use Amity as well, what's the process like? What do they do in order to make sure that I am who I say that I am?
Sure. One of the first things to mention too is, just by the way, that's actually the most secure, because in an instant, the secretary or grand secretary can go into the system and hit a button if for some reason you are not in good standing, and immediately they would see that. Whereas, in the past, you would have that certificate or dues card for another year or possibly longer. And going to another area, again, they're not going to know the difference that you were suspended if it's halfway across the country or world. So showing up, you would use the status within your Amity app, and there's 3 different phases. There is the page that shows your QR code on it, right, which you would have somebody scan. Then if you move over, it'll show your profile. If you move over again, it has a built-in scanner that you'd be able to scan somebody else's pass with. And that's down on the main page, the status icon, and that's can be used in over 100 Grand Lodges throughout the world. We've implemented other technology to this. One of our products, the Signet, which you can use as well, which is a really nifty NFC ring. Kind of shows the world that we're up and up on the latest technology, right? If the oldest fraternity out there, we should have the best stuff out there. Absolutely. So again, in a number of jurisdictions, you can use this Signet as your official traveling certificate or dues card, and it's just a ring on your finger, which is really neat.
That's amazing. I love that. And with the passport or the status page, I recently I wanted to join a Discord group, and they wanted as best as they could to have some of the channels inside of the Discord server to be just exclusively to Master Masons in good standing. Now, the brother who was moderating the access to that channel, he's seen me on the internet. Like, he's known that I make all this noise on social media and I make a podcast and YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff, but he's never sat in lodge with me. He's never actually seen my dues card. And he asked me, brother, I'm embarrassed to ask you because I feel like I know you. How do I know you to be a Mason?
He took his duty really well, actually. I mean, in a way, he did what he was supposed to do, and that's it. He didn't sit in lodge with you, and that's what it takes to be able to vouch for someone. So good on him, good on that brother.
Yeah. So I said, oh, I got you. You use Amity? Yeah. All right. And I took because I did it through direct message. I just took a screenshot of my QR code for my status and I sent it over to him. So he was able to verify, oh yeah, this is, and if I'm not mistaken, it's in real time with the Grand Lodge, right?
Correct. And this is we're in over 100 jurisdictions now where it's in real time. There may be some jurisdictions where we have not turned this on yet for them. And in those instances, it would probably come back yellow. It'll say needs review. If you click on needs review, it might say we need more information, or it might say this Mason was verified to be in good standing on such and such a date. Perfect. And what that allows us to know is it's not in real time. He was verified at a particular time. So he was a Mason, right? We know that. But it's not official. It's not in real time, where now we're in over 100 jurisdictions where they can actually take that to the bank that it is a good status.
Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Fossil Bluff is a purveyor of uncommon Masonic artifacts, a creator of bespoke, handcrafted, curious creations. Their tagline, "Gifts for today, inspiration for a lifetime," is more than just a catchy phrase. It encompasses the ideal that results from a lifetime of experiences that reach beyond the ordinary. It is the goal of Fossil Bluff to help you continue your experience through their thoughtfully crafted collection and provide like-minded individuals with items that invoke a feeling of heritage, legacy, mystery, and quality. Fossil Bluff strives to inspire each and every person that finds them with a sense of discovery and possibilities that exist in all they aspire to do. To see their collection and take advantage of the exclusive promotion they've set up just for our listeners, visit fossilbluff.com/TWS. And now, back to our show.
That's exciting. One thing that I've had encountered in the past is I get invited to speak at different lodges in different jurisdictions, and it is very important for me to make sure that those lodges that I'm traveling to are recognized by my Grand Lodge. So when I started in Masonry, I had to every year. Well, I didn't have to do it every year, but I had to have a book to go and look. Okay, here's that jurisdiction. Here's the name of that lodge. And it was the guide. What is it called? I have it right here. The
list of lodges Masonic.
List of lodges Masonic. I have an old version there. I'm due for a.
They've been printing it for almost 115 years, or they had been.
Look at that.
It's quite the tradition.
Yeah, it's very handy, but you need to have that with you. So that's handy and that's very useful for the Tyler to have it in his desk, and for maybe the master to have a copy as well. And that whenever someone visits, they can check, oh, here is that. But for me, I have a copy, I think from 2002 or something like that. And things change.
There are lodges that weren't even around, or Grand Lodges that weren't even around then.
Exactly. So there's new Grand Lodges, or there are lodges that are no longer there, or maybe one jurisdiction makes a decision and then my jurisdiction disagrees with it, and there no longer is recognition, or temporarily there's no Amity
thing.
So that was a little dicey. But now with Amity, you're able to see pretty much in real time whenever changes happen that is adjusted.
So if I may, there's an interesting piece here, and I think Masons are sort of still internalizing it. I think we all, or at least those of us, over a certain age, will remember, like when I used to go around and visit my friends at other colleges and whatever, I had a Rand McNally Atlas in my car. It was a big yellow, like, atlas of the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it had every map of every state and all the highways and what have you. And then Google Maps came out, and guess where that atlas went? Right in the trash. And that's not to say that the books aren't useful. They're great tools, but you're right. They're great tools in a stationary fashion, right? And what we carry around with us in our pockets these days has everything up to date and much more. We say all the time, look, you look at somewhere like Washington, D.C., it's got 6 Grand Lodges in a square around the city, because you've got D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and the 3 Prince Hall Grand Lodges. Well, you can't see that easily in a book, but if you show it on a map, you can see exactly where everybody is, how they're in relation to each other. Just tap on one, look at the meetings, etc. It really represents the evolution of technology that we should have had 20 years ago. Yeah. But, we're happy providing it now.
Yeah, that's good. And
you know what Amity reminds me of, Juan? I'm sorry, to add to what Jeremy said there, is it reminds me of The Palace by of the Masonic poem, in a way where it's able to build and build and build on these things, where before everything is separated and it's not able to build on one another. Each one is its separate function, where what we've been able to do with Amity is sort of build these things in a way where they're all coming together.
I love that. And I don't envy your position when it comes to having to deal with the resistance of technology, or the aversion to technology. And I know that in our previous conversation, we might have touched up on this, but one of the reasons why we may not have this technology for everywhere and have had it for a long time is because of that reluctance to actually embrace a new technology, or how secure is this, or how convenient it is. Like I can't even open up my camera on my phone. The good thing is, like, we have brothers that can tell us, hey, this is what you do. You click here. If you travel with you get on a cruise ship with your wife and you land in some island in the Caribbean, you can get off and check your app and see, oh, are there any lodges down here? Are they recognized by my Grand Lodge? Let me go knock on the door.
It's like
So
dancing. It's like dancing. Until you know how to dance, you're not getting out on the floor. But once you do, so you can barely get them off of it. So that's the approach we take, and it just takes some time in getting people familiar and comfortable with using technology. That's it.
That's good. You know what? I'm
You
very
know,
happy. I'm very
Go ahead.
happy of what happened, of the response of the older brothers through the pandemic. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but there were meetings after meetings from all over the world where brothers would come together through Zoom and just have a conversation. And it wasn't just the young whippersnappers that are on Snapchat. No, it was all the brothers.
Yeah. It was great.
So it's great to see that. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
No, it's all good. So, I think one of the things that is worth saying, and I'll use this as an opportunity to share a little bit about where we're going, is, we've always done the best with what we could do and what we had. But at the same time, we've gotten into habits, and habits are difficult to break, and they're difficult to rethink. It was quite normal 100 years ago to have a card file with a list of all your members in the Grand Lodge, right? And so, that progresses very straightforward, in a very straightforward manner, to a membership management system that you have on premise, right? But now, as we rethink what privacy means, there's a valid question. Does the Grand Lodge actually need to know my address? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they just need to know how to get a hold of me, right? And they don't even need to know the information. Another way to look at it, so we're in the process right now of integrating for real-time status and a few other means with some of the larger appendant bodies, which, in a couple of weeks we'll be announcing that. So stay tuned. But we tend to think of, and let me just pick a random one. Well, actually, it doesn't even matter. Pick your appendant body. They say, okay, great. You need to have a Blue Lodge membership in good standing in order to be a member of this organization, right? Whether it's the Grotto, Tall Cedars, High 12, Shrine, pick your appendant body. But at the end of the day, do they really need to know which one you're a member of? I would offer that the answer is probably no. The only reason that on the petition it says, what's your lodge name, your lodge number, and your Grand Lodge, is so that they can call the Grand Lodge and go, hey, is Jeremy actually in good standing? And get an answer, right? But if they had the ability, for example, Juan wants to join appendant body X, great. You put in Amity, yes, I'm willing to share my information with this appendant body, or we have an agreement with the appendant body to allow that. And the appendant body goes, great, we have Juan, here's his email address, check. And Amity comes back and says, yes.
Nice.
Well, their need got filled, right? And it got filled in a way that doesn't require you to give up more information than you want. Because what if you're a member of 10 jurisdictions and some of them don't like each other? Right? And it's, I'm being a little overly dramatic, but you get the point. It's like, how much are we giving out? And how can we roll that back a little bit? It becomes a challenge, the challenge of really changing people's habits, asking them to look at it again and say, I know for 150 years, you've gotten the lodge and the Grand Lodge and what have you, but step back. What do you actually need? Rethink that. And can we serve that in a way that respects our brother's privacy? And I think we can.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Hey, I've always admired what you brothers are doing, that you are just pushing forward. This is a complicated task. It has its own challenges, and you're not shying away from it. And I appreciate that you're doing that. I am all for technology. You guys know this. And I want to see our lodges continue to adapt to all these changes that are happening in the world. I see lodges that are just now starting to open a Facebook page. Listen, that ship sailed. you need to open a TikTok account, or you need to open a Snapchat, or whatever the next thing is. And I appreciate that you guys are making it simple enough, making it robust enough so that people can get everything that they need, and that they're not in shock about having to learn. There's not a giant learning curve. This is something that's in your pocket, and all you want to do is travel, and you want to travel safely. So Michael, Jeremy, thank you so much for that. Jeremy, go ahead.
So just one quick thing that's specific, since you're in Florida, we are working on integrations with the Grand Lodge, and one of the things that's coming that I think we've already announced, so you'll be hearing about it soon, is the ability for you to update your personal information in Amity, and that goes directly to the Grand Lodge.
Perfect.
And oh, by the way, it may also go to some appendant bodies as well, right? So again, when we're talking about simplicity, how can we help you have a one-stop shop and at your pace share this information? I mean, that's what Amity is built for, as Michael said, to help grease the wheels and not have to go to 17 different organizations and say, let me file my USPS address change card with you. No, this is 2022. We should be able to do this without anyone talking to each other.
Yep. That's true. Now, if let's say, for example, a brother listening to this conversation, he says, "Oh man, I wish we had that. We don't have access to that." It may be that they have access to it and they're not familiar with it because they haven't heard it, or someone hasn't walked them through. What would be the next step for them to make sure that their lodges are using this technology? And if not, how do they go about getting perhaps their Grand Lodge or their jurisdiction to get involved in this?
They can always reach out to us at support@copiri.com, and we could try to shepherd them through the process, whether they have a Grand Lodge administrator, or they have automated systems in place, or they don't. If they don't, we ask for assistance in sharing about Amity. Go to their Grand Lodge. Any questions they have, we're more than happy to bring them up to speed on what we're doing. But really just reaching out to us. It does help having a lodge administrator. Certain jurisdictions have, different rules on who can be an administrator. So again, if they just reach out to us, we'd be more than happy to walk them through that process.
And one I'll say for those that are watching this as a video, the QR code over my shoulder here is a simple way to do that. Just scan that. That'll bring you to the download page for Amity. It's a quick process, a couple questions to get you signed up for the app. And a lot of times that will tell you right away, right? If you put your member number in the app and then you go to your status page, if your status shows up as green, for example, or red, if we can't match your name or whatever, you've got a real-time connection with your Grand Lodge. And if not, Michael's absolutely right. Some of this is just, it's old-fashioned person-to-person, mouth-to-ear, and we're happy to help with that process.
That's excellent. So the main hub where brothers can find out, for those who didn't have access to the QR code, they can go to
Amity.copiri.com,
and Copiri, COPIRI.com.
Correct. Or either App Store. Search for Amity and you'll find it at Google Play and the App Store.
Excellent. Brothers, thank you so much for that hard work. And I appreciate you helping with Florida being on the cutting edge of technology. That it's near and dear to my heart, so I appreciate it. So brothers, thank you so much for your time. And for the brothers listening and watching, thank you as always for supporting the Winding Stairs. One of the ways that you can support is, like, if you find this conversation interesting, if you find it informative, make sure to put this in your lodge's blog. Go to your lodge's Facebook page and share the link so that brothers can learn a little bit more about the things that we are doing here at the Winding Stairs. Sharing, liking, subscribing in your favorite platforms helps a lot. And one of the things that helps a lot is if you support our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by Fossil Bluff. They have amazing collectible items that they design in-house that you have to check it out. You get a special discount for being one of our loyal supporters. Just go to fossilbluff.com/TWS and you'll have a promo code there that you can use. Michael, Jeremy, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I look forward to hearing from you guys later on as you keep on rolling out things. The Winding Stairs is your house, so make sure to stay in touch.
Thank you, Juan.
Thank you, brother. It's a Pleasure.
So as always, thank you guys for being here in the Winding Stairs. And until next time, may your steps be firm and your path illuminated as we continue our journey up the winding stairs.